Horton swinging away and socks this to deep left field. That is gone! Bryson Horton.
That one's intercepted at the 50-yard line. Wow. 1 man to beat. He's up to the 30, 35. He's going to run it all the way himself into the end zone for a touchdown.
Sierra Smith quickly worked around, feeding the hot hand. Jasmine got it! 3 threes for number 23.
Who finds Edwards? Edwards needs to get the shot up. Pulls up a deep three. Able to knock it down!
The counterattack. Here comes Carla Ramos forward looking for Noelle Lemus. She's gotten by the last defender. Valentine comes out. Noelle dribbles the keeper. Lemus! And that is a DVC victory. And the Vikings are champions of California! Welcome, faithful followers of the Green and White, to DVC Vikings Live Radio on Mixler.com and the Mixler Live app. This is Joe Hickey coming to you from the Ventura College Sportsplex one last time, site of the 2019 3C2A Basketball State Championship game. Today we're bringing you the last game in a busy weekend here in Ventura, and it's for all the marbles on the women's side. It's a battle between the North and South top seeds, the two teams that have batted the number 1 state ranking back and forth all year. The teams fielding the NorCal and SoCal Players of the Year. It's the only way this possibly could have ended, right? The DVC Vikings and Moorpark Raiders are moments from contesting today's 3C2A state final. Both teams are at this stage of the tournament for the first time in their program's histories, and both of them had to sweat yesterday to get here. The Vikings led by as much as 18 in the early going with conference mates Delta, but failed to kill them off, watching that lead dwindle amidst a shooting blackout all the way to 1 at halftime. Delta briefly tied it in the early going of the third before Daisha Abdelkader resumed her Mustang-killing ways and dropped a trio of trays on them, including a momentum-shifting buzzer beater at the end of the quarter. DVC would manage a lead that fluctuated between 4 and 10 points throughout the fourth and would win by 7. As for Moorpark, they never quite led by as much as DVC did in their contest with Merced, but they watched as the Blue Devils trio of Ayaka Nakashima, Suzuna Shoji, and Malaya Kendrick erased leads of 8 in the first quarter, 12 in the third quarter, and 7 in the fourth quarter to leave the game tied with 73 seconds left. An unlikely suspect, substitute Isabel Ayala, who's averaged just 6.5 points per game this season, came up with a pair of late layups to clinch the Raiders' berth in today's game. Now, this is a matchup between two of the 3 highest scoring, tidiest, long bombingest offenses in the state, as well as between 2 of the top 6 defenses. It's hard to find separation between the Vikings and Raiders in the team stats, so it's likely to come down to individual matchups. To help break those down, I'm joined here in the pregame by Jeff Stoyanov of SoCal College Sports.com, someone who's seen a little more of Moorpark than I have, and who's looking at the Vikings with somewhat fresher eyes than your in-the-tank hometown broadcaster. Jeff, thanks for dropping by.
Thanks so much for having me.
So which matchup are you most excited about seeing today? There are a lot of juicy ones to choose from.
Yeah, teams that are incredibly similar, but I think it's really going to boil down to the matchup in the middle. Barbara Rangel, she's been the riddle all season long. How do you deal with her? Very few teams are cut out in terms of personnel to really even have a chance, and that's why Rangel has been so dominant. But with Zariah Hendricks and with Leilani Moncrief, Diablo Valley has a chance of matching up. But I think it's so critical that Moncrief and Hendricks, who have struggled at times this season with foul trouble, they've got to stay on the floor. If they do, Diablo Valley has a chance to match up very well here.
Now, we've noticed as well that as far as Rangel's tendencies, on the offensive end, she's a fantastic distributor, kind of the 3C2A's answer to Nikola Jokic almost. And on the defensive end, though, she tends to stay pretty close to the hoop. And as a result, we think maybe Leilani Moncrief could space the floor reasonably, as she's very comfortable drifting almost to within 2 feet of the three-point arc and hitting jumpers from out there. The hope, I think, on DVC's end has to be that if they get that sort of spacing, that could open up some lanes for Hendricks or Sierra Smith or Daisha Abdelkader to drive if they can start to pull Rangel away from the bucket.
Yeah, both teams this weekend playing Moorpark have had a little bit of success bringing their bigs out a little bit from the basket. Barbara Rangel really patrols the paint. She's not going to step out and defend a lot on the perimeter. But as you alluded to, in your setup, Moorpark's been one of the best defensive teams all season long statistically. So that's something that Kenny Plummer knows from a coaching standpoint. I expect Moorpark to come out, show some zone defense as they have for much of the season. They still defend the perimeter quite well, but Hendricks, Moncrief both have the ability to shoot from outside, so there is an opportunity there, but I think you still have to get the ball into the paint, then back outside, create some open shots.
That's certainly what was so effective in the early going against Delta, and then it seemed that they almost forgot about all that. They got Moncrief into some foul trouble, and the next thing you knew, the Vikings couldn't hit a shot for the duration of the second quarter. Now, obviously, these two teams have 2 games already in their legs in the last 48 hours, and both teams seem to run out 7 players pretty much around the clock at this point. Based on what you've seen in terms of style and conditioning so far, who do you think this quick turnaround might favor, if anyone?
You know, it's funny. I've been talking about conditioning all weekend, and I think I'm almost ready to stop talking about conditioning from the standpoint of these teams are incredibly well conditioned. Having said that, Moorpark has dealt with this all season, as have Diablo Valley. This is a very quick turnaround, and I think both teams catch a little bit of a break here, Joe, in that they're facing each other. I thought Brianna Calhoun for Moorpark looked a little tired at the end of the game last night. Why shouldn't she? She's all everything for this Moorpark team, and she was playing out of her mind last night. But it's such a quick turnaround, but they're young, they're in great shape, 18, 19-year-old women. They recover well, they recover fast. I expect both teams to be a little bit worn down, but it's hard to say that one's going to have an advantage. They've both been in tight games. They both had to dig deep in the first couple of games. They both run with short benches. So far, it seems like a wash pretty well across the board. But it is something to watch as the game goes on. Maybe one of these teams is a little more tired than the other team.
Well, certainly I share their desire to be done with this by the end of today. It's been an exhausting weekend.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. I've had a great time.
Oh, no, it's been fantastic. But certainly all of us have been doing yeoman's duty for the last 4 days.
Yeah.
And so we're very excited to see this final act in that. Jeff, thank you so much for lending us your thoughts today. It's been a real pleasure working with you guys this week.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's going to be a great game. So let's just enjoy it and see who comes out in about 40 minutes here. We're going to find out who the women's champion is.
We'll see if 40 can settle it. Thanks again. Vikings fans, we started dreaming about this game 3 months ago when DVC started blasting teams by 70 or 80 points in tournament play. In just 4 minutes, it becomes reality. We'll be right back with lineups and tip-off of DVC Moorpark for the California State Championship. Don't go anywhere. But right now, that proximity certainly gives the Raiders fans a chance to support their ladies in white and sky blue. DVC, by the way, will be in black from head to toe, and green numbers on the back, green on the front, DVC across the front of the jersey as well. They're road jerseys, which they haven't had to wear yet at this point. I assume either a coin flip or the fact that Moorpark was the #1 ranked team in the state in the final poll, the reason for this. Moorpark dressed in white, head to toe, sky blue numbers on the back, encircled in black. Here are your starting lineups. For Moorpark, it will be as generally expected. Emily Herring, number 10. Number 21, Jazzy Carrasco. Number 22, the SoCal Player of the Year, Brianna Calhoun. Number 33, Kristen Sullivan. And number 42, Barbara Rangel, who you heard about in the pregame from Jess Stoyanov. She is 6'2". She is a load of women coming at you in the low post. And Leilani Moncrief and Zaria Hendricks are going to have their hands full there. For DVC, Daisha Abdelkader will be running the point. 3 other guards, Zaria Hendricks, the NorCal Player of the Year, Sierra Smith, and Janae Anderson. Leilani Moncrief headed to the center circle to jump this up. She does give up about 2 inches in height and quite a bit in terms of stature otherwise to Rangel at center court. We're ready, and the state title game is underway. The tip won by Rangel, but it comes to Sierra Smith, so DVC will have the first possession. Smith, Abdelkader, corner 3, Hendricks! Right off the bat, DVC 1 for 1 from three-point land, and the Vikings are on the board. You are looking at the top two of the top 3 long bombing schools in the state. Moorpark and DVC number 2 and 3 in percentage, and number 1 and 2 among those that actually take a decent number of threes per game. Brianna Calhoun, meanwhile, camping out from outside. She'll hit a straight-on 3 after drifting behind a high pick from Sullivan. Here comes Sierra Smith, driving to the left side, pulls up in front of Herring. She drops one in, and right off the bat, we've got shots being made at both ends. The ball forward from Carrasco to Calhoun. Calhoun with an interesting little puff of red hair at the top of her head. Definitely would be a contender for hairstyle of the tournament were it not for a handful of things we saw in the City College of San Francisco Fullerton game in the men's final earlier. Ball in the hands right now of Carrasco with her white headband. She finds Calhoun on the right side. Back iron, first missed shot of the game. Moncrief does enough to put off Rangel and secures the rebound. Here comes Zaria Hendricks down the other way. Highlight pass inside, trying to find Moncrief. Popped up in the air by Carrasco, but she can't settle. It goes out of bounds. DVC will keep it right there. 23 to shoot, a minute 11 in. 5-3, Vikings currently on top. Inbound will come from Smith. Janae Anderson and Abdelkader drift out. They're going to have to throw it deep for Hendricks, and it's read by Emily Herring. She's off to the races one-on-one. Hendricks is going to let her have that layup. The Vikings have to be conscious of avoiding needless fouls today. Story of the tournament so far has been other players having to rescue them when Hendricks or Moncrief get in foul trouble. Good ball movement to find Smith. Thought she was going to try the three. Instead drives. Contact inside up against the number 33 Sullivan, but nothing given. Sierra Smith's shot misses. Here's a pass cross court to Calhoun. That was risky. Hendricks almost passed it off. Drops it down low to Rangel, and from 3 feet she'll kiss that off the glass and in. 7-5 in favor of the Raiders. Ball ahead to Daisha Abdelkader. Just 2 minutes in, and this is definitely more what I think we expected out of some of the earlier games in this tournament. It's been a battle of tempo, but both of these teams love to run. Janae Anderson over to Hendricks, finds Abdelkader, open for three from the right corner. That one's a little strong. Moncrief bats the rebound away, though. Sierra Smith back out to Anderson for a fresh 30. She'll leave that for Hendricks, needs a moment to settle it. Drives against her opposing 21 Carrasco, now drops it off to Smith. Now back to Hendricks in the left corner. Zaria off the left side of the backboard. Rangel corrals that board. And here comes Brianna Calhoun at the other end. 7-5 in favor of the SoCal number 1 seed. Just 2.5 minutes into our state final. Rangel, top of the key, looking to facilitate. Her distribution is fantastic, but she leaves that to Herring, and Sierra Smith dives into the passing lane and pokes it away. Here comes Daisha Abdelkader down the other end. Daisha, top of the key for Hendricks now. Over to the right side, Rangel slow to close out. Janae Anderson unable to hit from an open position. Leilani Moncrief ties up the Moorpark player. I think that's Sullivan down there, who she's battling for the rebound. Earns the tie-up. That is going to go to Moorpark, but it does also flip the arrow. So Brianna Calhoun, the primary ball handler for this team. I think it was of some interest to us who they were going to stick on her. It appears Abdelkader at the moment is on Jazzy Carrasco instead, one of the long bombers. Brianna Calhoun drives and takes too many steps. Turned on the jets, but lost sight of the brakes. Came to a stop at the left side of the painted area. And that's a turnover over to the Vikings. Daisha Abdelkader on the ball. Through Calhoun. Drops it underneath for Leilani. But unable to deal with the alteration of that shot by Barbara Rangel. And it's back to Moorpark. Remains 7-5 after the early flurry. The two teams held scoreless for the last 2 minutes. It's now Abdelkader on Carrasco. Cut comes from Herring. Janae Anderson doing well to stick to her. Now tries to run and lose Abdelkader. Dumps down low to Rangel. Hendricks guarding her. Now back out on the kick out to the 22 Calhoun. Whistle and I believe a foul on the floor. No, I think another travel. That's DVC ball. So it's a pair of episodes of Too Much Cha-Cha, as John Brown, the Vikings PA announcer back up in Pleasant Hill, would say. Here's Daisha Abdelkader trying to take her defender Herring on the dribble. Ends up all the way over to the right side of the low post. Now dribbles back out. 16 to shoot as she resets to Anderson at the top of the key. Now back to Smith looking to initiate the offense. Calhoun comes way out to her and pokes it away from Smith from behind. Recovered by Rangel, quickly ahead for Calhoun. She's working on Janae Anderson and is short on the bunny layup. Rebound Emily Herring and she lays it back in. Moorpark up 9-5. Here comes Sierra Smith over to the left side for Anderson. Moorpark trying to stick to DVC's number 30. Leilani Moncrief, good first move in the post. Drives, finds Abdelkader, who gets tripped up by the closeout of Calhoun. That'll be the first foul of today's game. As I said early on, this is starting to look like the kind of game you imagine when you notice that you're dealing with number 1 and number 3 in terms of overall offense. Moorpark just barely behind Merced for points per game this season at 85 and change. Here's the inbound to Leilani Moncrief from the right side. She looks for a hook shot, rims in and out, and Rangel and Sullivan settle the rebound. 2 early shots for the Vikings, a 3 from Hendricks and a 2 from Smith, but it's gone dry since then. Almost halfway through the quarter, 9-5 Raiders. Calhoun looking to feed Rangel in the low post. Leilani Moncrief alters a shot. She picks up her first foul, and Rangel makes it anyway. 11-5 in the early going. Rangel heading to the line. She is second in the state in field goal percentage, just a shade under 60. 66% free throw shooter, though, and she misses the freebie here. Can't finish the three-point play. Here comes Zaria Hendricks the other way. Driving hard to the right side, now brings it back out to the right corner. Sierra Smith, top of the key. Nobody picked her up at first. She dribbles inside of Calhoun. Can't hit her shot. Leilani Moncrief tries after the board, unable to hit. Getting a little dark right now. Sierra Smith did well to find her place. I think they're trying to maybe pull up and take those shots a little further from the hoop before Rangel becomes a part of the equation. So far, not able to do it. Rangel, top of the key, receives. Looking for someone to feed. She'll drop it off for Sullivan. Calhoun looping behind her. Around the pick. Calhoun's got some room to reach to the cup, but is a little short on that. She wanted a foul call. Nothing given. Rebound comes to DVC. Here's Zaria Hendricks working up the left sideline. Hendricks and Carrasco. Sierra Smith stops in front of Calhoun. Sierra Smith working to the right side. This time Calhoun unable to poke it away. Smith gets the contact, and she'll go to the line. That's the 10th ranked free throw shooter in the state, Sierra Smith. Worth noting here that there are 3 Moorpark players that have ratings in the top 10 in the state in some statistical category. There are 5 for the Vikings, but in the case of Moorpark, 2 of them have top 10 rankings in like 4 or 5 different things. Kind of wild. Smith misses the first free throw. That'll be a hit to her 10th in the state percentage from there at 78.5. So Barbara Rangel, 2nd in field goal percentage, 2nd in defensive rebounds, 4th in total boards, 4th in blocks. And Brianna Calhoun, we said the SoCal Player of the Year, as Sierra Smith misses both of them. She's 3rd in assist to turnover ratio, 4th in assists, 4th in steals, 9th in field goal percentage, and 13th in the state in scoring. Just a shade under 20 points per game. She's amped that up to 22 here in the postseason. 22, 6 boards, and 6 assists per game in these 4 matches of the tournament. They're working now a bit of a weave. Brianna Calhoun pulls up from the free throw line, absorbs contact from Sierra Smith, and she'll head back to the line. Sierra and Leilani with 1 foul apiece. On the other side, it's Rangel and Calhoun that have taken the fouls, so definitely the 2 you'd like to see start to get into foul trouble. Rangel not above picking up contact. And so in the meanwhile, they have actually taken Rangel off the floor for a little bit. They have inserted the number 15. That is Mia Moore in her place. So definitely a change in size, inserting Mia Moore, a 5'9 sophomore out of Agoura, in place of the 6'2 sophomore out of Ventura High. Zaria Hendricks down low looking for Leilani. Gets away from her, kicked by Sullivan, and comes back to Calhoun. They're running the other way. 12-5 Moorpark. Calhoun down low for the 10. Herring up and in. Sierra Smith with it. Moorpark right now on a 12-2 run. Abdelkader, good crossover. Dumps back to Leilani at the baseline. Now back to Hendricks. Open 3, and she drills it. Breaks DVC's drought and makes it 14-8 here with 3:33 to go. A 3 for Z with 3:33 to go. Calhoun, a little round-the-world dribble as her opposing 22 comes up to her. Smith, a little bit of a poke, not able to get it. Calhoun almost loses the handle, now drops off to Mia Moore. Her jumper is off target, a little strong and a little wide right. And that'll come to Daisha Abdelkader. Up she comes on the floor on the left side. Looking to go a million miles an hour. Drives, drops it off underneath for Moncrief. And without Rangel in the way, Leilani's looking to feast. Drops in that easy layup from the left side, and it's now 14-10. And Coach Kenny Plummer is going to want a timeout. So the replacement of Rangel with Moore certainly helps out the Vikings. Rangel rather, recently picked up her 1,000th collegiate point in the game last night against the College of Merced. On the postseason, I was going to say, she is 34 for 55 from the field, 18.5 points per game, 15 boards per game. And so just a load down there. Interestingly, though, she is trailing Leilani Moncrief when it comes to blocks per game. She's got 2.3, and you would expect that to be a big part of her game. Leilani with 3 1/3 blocks per game. She had 5 last night and was a big part of neutralizing the size down low of San Joaquin Delta. Rangel back out onto the floor after a blow. Moore stays out there, so let's see who else just came off. I think it might be Calhoun. Yeah, Calhoun leaves the game. And so it is Herring, Carrasco. There's a cut inside by the number 2. That's Isabella Ayala. It's a ball inside for Rangel. She just holds that over everybody and lays it to the hoop. So Moorpark get that right off the bat. Number 2, Isabella Ayala, we mentioned before. She was responsible for 4 of the 5 points that were the game-winning margin. Here's Sierra Smith working over to the right side, unable to hit. Leilani Moncrief battling for the board. She gets the tie-up, and that's going to stay right here for the Vikings with a fresh 30. 2:35 to go. DVC down 6. Gotten a pair of threes already from Zaria Hendricks. She's 2 for 3 from the field. All those shots from beyond the arc. Moncrief and Sierra Smith each with 2. Waiting to get Anderson and Abdelkader underway. Abdelkader receives at the top of the key. Works over to Anderson on the left. Finds Hendricks. Open 3. Not able to hit that one. Moncrief secures another board with Rangel away from the hoop. Here's Abdelkader straight on 3. No good. Ball on the floor and recovered by Ayala. No, excuse me. That is Herring. Carrasco now on it. Rangel takes her post at the top of the key. And the offense moves around her. Comes a cut from Ayala to the right corner. They won't feed that, though. Carrasco up top. She shoots as Abdelkader doesn't particularly close out, and she drills that. Carrasco had a rough night shooting last night. That's a good start for her, unfortunately for us. 19-10. Zaria Hendricks, hesitation dribble. Now drives to the right side. Lays it up off glass. No good. Abdelkader fights and gets the board away from Rangel. Drives under the hoop. Finds Moncrief for the baseline jumper. No good. Rebound taken and just held in before falling out of bounds by the 15, Mia Moore. Up ahead now for Carrasco. Mentioned before, if I remember correctly, she was 1 for 11 from three-point range last night. A little uncharacteristic for her. She has averaged 13.8 points per game so far in the postseason, but 12 for 35 from 3. Mia Moore trying a 3 right there, no good. Certainly her specialty. She's came into tonight 3 for 7 on the tournament. Sierra Smith driving the other way. She hits the deck and is going to earn an offensive foul, and that's 2 quick ones on Sierra. See right here as she turned the Jets on, and yep, Emily Herring, great defensive position, got herself in Sierra's lane. No argument at all about that call. Saying though, Mia Moore came into this game shooting 3 for 7 on the tournament, 2 for 5 from three-point land. She's already attempted a pair of shots, one of them a 3, and yet to hit either. Brianna Calhoun back in for Moorpark. Dumps off to Ayala, who now circles to the top of the key behind Rangel. Back to Sullivan. Zaria Hendricks on her. Working to the right side as the offense moves. Got a foul here, I think, as Zaria Hendricks tries to poke. Number 1 on Zebo. No, excuse me. Yes, that is on Hendricks. Vikings had made the playoffs 6 years in a row coming into this season. Been in the Sweet 16 at least 5 years in a row, and the Elite 8 in 3 of the last 5 seasons, but this is as far as they've ever gotten. Same deal for Moorpark. Never gotten past the Elite 8 before this. They made it in 2013, a great run as a 10 seed. Been in the Sweet 16 2 other times. First title game for both of these teams, and first title to come for one of them. Barbara Rangel fighting for the rebound from her own miss. Calhoun fed by Rangel from under the hoop and puts that one in, and it's 21-10 as we approach the end of the quarter. A dream start for DVC with those 2 couple of shots in the opening minute. They've scored 5 points since then. Another dark quarter for them, like the one yesterday against San Joaquin Delta. There's another tie-up as DVC lose the handle. Leilani Moncrief unable to grab it. I should say able to grab it, but is not going to get to keep it, because the possession arrow belongs to Moorpark. 21-10 your score line. Moorpark can hold for the final shot of the quarter. 23 seconds to go. Ball in the hand of Calhoun. She's got Herring, Rangel, Sullivan, and Ayala with her. Abdelkader trying to close her out as DVC look for another answer. Calhoun already with 6 points. Tries to dribble her way through. Ends up in a ton of traffic. Somehow holds onto it. Dumps to Sullivan. 3-pointer from the left side. Too long. That's going to go all the way out of play. And it'll be DVC ball with 5.3 seconds left to do something and at least cosmetically clean up this first quarter scoreline. Calhoun's got 6. Rangel's got 6. Herring, the surprise. She's 3 for 3 from the field with 6. And Carrasco has hit her 1 shot. Here's the inbound. Abdelkader coming at 1,000,000 miles an hour. She's got a second. Throws up the floater. Banked it, but it's too strong and no good. So the Vikings are going to have a bit of a hole to climb out of, but if there's been any theme over the course of this tournament, both on the men's side and on the women's side, it's the fact that just about everybody has been unwilling to die. We have seen a ton of comebacks. We saw one last night that scared the dickens out of us because it was DVC coughing up an 18-point lead. No reason we can't see that happen again if Moorpark lose sight of what they're capable of doing. We saw it with Merced as well in the course of the game between Merced and Moorpark last night. We mentioned beforehand that leads of 8, 12, and 7 all evaporated, and it was a tie ball game with 73 seconds left to decide the DVC's opponent. So we hope for a little bit of a resurrection over the course of the second quarter, for maybe a mirror image of what we saw against Delta yesterday. 21-10 your score. I do have our first quarter trivia question, and it's a new one from the one that you heard the last two games, if you happen to tune into both of them. This time, because we're in the title game, we're done with talking about the last team to qualify for a title game. Who is the last DVC program to win a state title? Again, that answer will be coming in the third quarter, fourth quarter break. As we get ready to start the second quarter, I am joined here in the booth, or the rafters, or the aviary, whatever it is we're in right here, by DVC President Susan Lamb. Thank you, Susan, for joining us today.
Oh, it's great to be here. The women are playing awesome, and, you know, it's a good game. A little bit behind, but I trust the women. They've got poise, and I think, you know, they'll pull it out.
You've certainly fought from deficits in the past, and I was just commenting here to our listeners that this whole tournament has seen teams cough up big leads over the course of it. We saw DVC up 18 early yesterday, and then tied up early in the second half. So anything can happen. The question is who's going to lead it. Brianna Calhoun popping a three-pointer from the left side, no good. Daisha Abdelkader will pick up the board. Here she comes down the other end. She's going to dribble over to the left corner. Pops out to Jasmine Kong in for her first action of the game. She fakes the shot, leaves it for Moncrief, and she can't hit it. Kong gets the rebound, up, and another one that just rolls off. Take the lid off the bucket. My goodness. Vikings had 5 points in the opening minute, had 5 since. Meanwhile, Moorpark stacking up a good lead, the kind of performance we expected out of them. Rangel holding it up above Moncrief. Her attempt at a layup's no good. Leilani doing good enough work down low to avoid coughing up an easy chance. Moncrief sitting on just one foul, which is exactly where you want it for her. Abdelkader driving to the right side, can't get the lay-in on the reverse. She came from the left and tried to put it off the right side glass. Rebound Rangel. Here comes Carrasco down the other end. Calhoun, Abdelkader defending. We were interested to see whether they would assign Abdelkader or Sierra Smith's quick hands or Janae Anderson's swats to her. Carrasco for three from the right side. Moorpark make it 24-10. The Vikings just having a hard time turning off the point faucet at one end and taking the lid off the basket at the other. Abdelkader finds Kong in the left corner. Fakes the three. Now back to Moncrief. Said in the open that that was Abdelkader. Now it's Moncrief. Nice move in the post to get around Rangel. Can't hit it again. Now tries to throw it back out the other side. Kong gets it after a deflection from a Moorpark player. DVC have a fresh 30 to play with. Janae Anderson back to Zaria Hendricks. Daisha Abdelkader left wide open. She'll take the three. That's off back iron. Sullivan the board. For the Vikings right now, shots just not falling. We said Moncrief could be incredibly important if she can hit those shots from mid-range. No good as Emily Herring tries to lay that one in, and a foul committed by Herring trying to re-obtain the rebound. That'll go the way of the Vikings. Now, President Lamb, we've talked a bit on these live streams in the past about what this program has been doing for the young women that have participated in it. Coach Ramondo Vaughn in his 9th season, and a big believer in keeping these young ladies from ending up saddled with $60,000 of debt at the age of 20. You talk a little bit about what you've seen of these women over the course of the last few years.
I think Coach Vaughn has turned our program around, not just on the court, but also off the court. But, you know, these women have over a 3.80 GPA, and pretty much every single one of them will go on to a scholarship with a 4-year, possibly D1 school, where they will be successful both hopefully on the court, but especially off the court. Not counting the leadership skills that they develop as athletes. I think, especially for women, that's an important component as they move forward.
A wonderful family that's been growing here, and yes, exactly, an opportunity to assert yourself in this world. Brianna Calhoun, unfortunately for us, continuing to assert herself after a DVC turnover at one end. She hits a jumper from the left baseline, and it's 26-10 Moorpark now. Comes Abdelkader working under the hoop. Back to Janae Anderson. She looks to work on the dribble. Nice penetration. Finds Kong. Quick move around to Zaria Hendricks for three. And Big Z has got her third three of the night. 26-13. DVC getting doubled up, but looking to eat into the advantage now. What they're going to need are some defensive stops. We've seen that tenacity. It's easy to forget when you look at two teams that are ranked number 1 and number 3 on offense that this is also number 4 and number 6 on defense. They might score. Oh, look out here. Zaria Hendricks picking off a pass. That'll have to wait. She's driving on Calhoun, and Calhoun takes it away and tiptoes the sideline. And Zaria doesn't even get a shot up on that one. Calhoun coming the other way, trying to touch this one in. DVC busy hands again, somehow settled by Mia Moore. Leilani Moncrief ties her up, and that's going to go DVC's way. We're about to say, though, that these are two teams that also hold their opponents to about 55 points per game. And so at the moment, Moorpark is exerting what they want out of both ends of the floor. Vikings trying to resist that. We saw them start to get some turnovers. That, at least in looking at the original team stats, is one of the Vikings' biggest advantages. A ton of the stats on the season are just complete stalemates between the two. They're both top 5 in a bunch of things. But DVC with the second most steals in the state and the third most turnovers forced. Moorpark, by contrast, 33rd and 41st in those two stats out of 88 schools. So an opportunity for DVC to get those extra possessions if Rangel's going to be settling rebounds at the other end. They're working on the left. Abdelkader fakes a 3 after the kick out. 15 to shoot. She'll dribble back out and try to reinitiate the offense. 6 minutes to go. Vikings down 13, looking to build their way back into it. Ball tipped away by the 21 Carrasco as Anderson tried to dump it back for Sierra Smith. And here comes Moorpark at the other end. Kick to Mia Moore over on the left side. Drop back to Jazzy Carrasco with the bright white headband. Mia Moore dumps this down to Rangel. Almost too long. Rangel gets it, though, and it's just too easy there. Zaria Hendricks giving up about 5 inches worth of height on the interior. It's an underrated thing. When you have a target like that to shoot at, it's easy to underrate the kind of passing that's happening here. Jasmine Kong for 3 from the left side. Jazzy's on the board. DVC make it 28-16. Turnover battle right now in DVC's favor, 8-5. They're actually winning the rebounding battle as well, 17-14. It's just the shooting has not been there since that opening minute. 6 of 25 from the field, 4 of 10 from 3. Moorpark 12 of 22 for the second highest percentage shooting team in the state. Got an offensive foul call, though, in the meanwhile on Moorpark. That's Jazzy Carrasco picking up her first. Second team foul of the quarter with 5:09 to go. Smith will work it over to Abdelkader. Here she goes, working her way in. Great circle route around Rangel. Dishes to Hendricks, now out to the corner. Jasmine again! That's been the way for this team all season long. You never know where it's coming from. Jasmine Kong, a pair of 3s, and she's working to get DVC back into it. It's single digits again. Calhoun trying to make it not single digits. That one hangs on the back of the iron, rolls around the rim and falls. Back to an 11-point Moorpark lead. Here comes Sierra Smith. Good move around Calhoun. Gets to the left side, but again short on the jumper. Sierra hit that first one, got a lot of confidence, but I think she's missed the last 3. They've all been more or less that shot. She's just not finding the range. Herring up to Carrasco now. She, Rangel, Calhoun, and Ayala on the court for Moorpark. Starters plus Ayala. Drop back now to Carrasco, working behind a Rangel screen. Abdelkader goes flying, now dumps down to a cutting Calhoun, picked off by Janae Anderson, and she finds Zaria Hendricks. Here we go down the other end. 3:54 to go. DVC down 11. Sierra Smith quickly worked around, feeding the hot hand. Jasmine got it! 30-22. 3 threes for number 23. With that number on her back, I'm waiting for the Jordan shrug if she makes a couple more. 30-22. Kong came into this game with 8 points on the tournament. She's got 9 already. Calhoun, top of the key. 30-22, 3:16 to go in our first half. Calhoun shoots, blocked partially by Sierra Smith as the shot clock was going to expire. Zaria Hendricks with the board. DVC a chance to cut it further. Janaea Anderson fed in the left side. She elects not to shoot. Worked around the perimeter. It's now Daisha Abdelkader calming things down. Sierra Smith, top of the key. Carrasco on her. Vikings in motion. Sierra cuts to the right corner as she dishes to Abdelkader. Daisha, nice little turnaround to try to lose Calhoun. Finds Anderson on the left side. Janae for 3! number 157. And coming up on some royalty, that is the third highest total in the last 25 years in women's college basketball of any level. And she's got 2 to go to have that all to herself. Jasmine Carrasco on a cut, misses the bunny layup, 30-25. President Lamb, you might have to stay up here. You seem to be a good luck charm. 30-25, 2:19 to go. DVC can make it a one-possession game. Abdelkader working around a pick from Kong. Her defender sticking to her. It's Isabella Ayala. Somehow stays on it. Dribbles to the corner. Getting trapped over there. Drops it to Kong. 5 to shoot. Kong. Did she step on the baseline? No, foul. The applause coming from the party people in green, not the ones in sky blue. A bit of a bailout. DVC had only 4 seconds left on the shot clock. That's the third Moorpark foul. DVC, to their credit, have not fouled yet, and we've only got 2 minutes, 4 seconds left in this quarter. That is a big deal when you consider the issue and the story that foul trouble has been over the course of this tournament. Right now they've got Sierra Smith on 2, but she's managed to contain her aggression. 1 each for Moncrief and Hendricks. Over on the other side, Calhoun, Rangel, Herring, Carrasco, and Ayala with 1 each. No one in any particular foul trouble, and that is a clear difference between the men's final. Now, President Land, you and I actually have something in common. One of the combatants in the men's final earlier was our last employer before this gig at DVC. Both of us over at City College of San Francisco. How is it seeing the old beau out there?
Well, you know, I figure it's our northern versus the southern at this point. And so, you know, I'm definitely supporting our women and then also City College in the sense that they played a hard-fought battle and unfortunately lost in the end. So I look there, women have to redeem the North in this one.
There you go. We were hoping to bring both titles to the Bay Area, but if we're being completely honest, there's really only one that we care about fully. I'll speak for myself at least. I don't want to put words in your mouth. All right. Back underway after the timeout. Both teams with 4 of those left. 2 minutes to go. Ball worked around the perimeter to Abdelkader. She's going to cross over on Herring. Now spins. Now kicks to the right side. Janae Anderson for 3! And Janae's got a second! Oh, if we can get that hot hand going. She's been 9 for 39 on the tournament from three-point land, but she is 2 for 3 tonight. And she has just moved up the leaderboard, tying Sierra Green of last year's Monroe College team in NJCAA Division II with 158 made three-pointers. She is 1 back of Rebecca May for the highest total in the last 25 years. Calhoun spinning and working her way to the cup and puts Moorpark back up by 4. Sierra Green on the drive, jump stop and the lay-in, 32-30. Sierra back on the board and finding the range. Hendricks has 9, Kong 9, Anderson 6, Moncrief 2, Smith now 4. We said it at the middle of the first quarter. We hoped against hope that we were looking at another opportunity for a big lead to dry up. Now, Moorpark was able to finish the second quarter of their game last night in very strong fashion. They were tied up with Merced, but a quick 5-0 run at the end pushed that lead out to 6. It's a 2-point Moorpark lead with a minute to go in the first half. Here's Jazzy Carrasco working her way around, being hassled by Kong, and Jasmine commits the foul as she reaches around. Not thrilled by that as she complains to one of our referees, I believe Amy Cromenhook. Deanna Butler and Zipporah Chase joining her as part of that crew. Inbound to come from Carrasco, 55 seconds left, a fresh 30 on the shot clock for Moorpark. Ball in the hands of Calhoun. Waits to initiate the offense, drifting over to the right with Abdelkader on her. Daisha trying to stay with her and avoid committing the foul. Kick out Carrasco, challenged by Kong, no good. DVC could take the lead right now, or at the very least tie it up. 7-second difference between shot and game clocks. 30 seconds left in the half, 22 to shoot. Abdelkader, back to Hendricks. DVC in no hurry. Hendricks and Herring. Here she goes, driving to the right side. Help comes. Hendricks up off glass, no good. Ball tipped around. Rangel able to settle. 12 seconds left for Moorpark to try to make it a 2-possession game. Their ball inside, picked off by Kong, but she can't settle as she looks to feed Herring on the fast break. It'll stay right here for Moorpark. 6.8 to go. These stories have not been without their ebb and flow here as they look to work an inbound. Here's the ball underneath to Herring. Blocked. Moncrief. Last touched by... No, they've given the foul against Leilani. That was an incredibly late whistle. We'll take a look at it right here. I was expecting the whistle to come. Yeah, she got quite a bit of arm. That's the right call, but it certainly surprised us because it seemed for all the world like they weren't going to give it. So that'll put Emily Herring to the line. She's a 79% free throw shooter. She makes the first, 33-30, 4.4 seconds left for DVC to see if they can get something back here. Advocator had that big buzzer-beating three-pointer last night in the third quarter that changed the whole complexion of that game. It went from being 6 points to 9 as we hit the break, and I think it broke Delta's spirit just a little bit. Here is a chance for Moorpark to make it a 2-possession game again. Herring hits them both. 4.4 to go. Here's the ball ahead in the hands of Advocator. 3 to go. Steps into a three-pointer straight on, just off target. A little short and a little wide left. So that's going to do it for the first half, Vikings fans. But after a very rough first quarter, DVC resurrected. 34-30, we got us a game. President Lamb, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you, and hopefully we'll be back at the end and be winning.
That's the plan. All right, we'll be back in 15 minutes. Again, if you want to see your boy on SoCal College Sports, .com. I will be on the video live stream in their halftime show in just a handful of minutes. But right now we go to the break. Your score, Moorpark 34, DVC 30.
Halftime in the women's championship here from Ventura College, 34-30. Moorpark with a 4-point lead over Diablo Valley. Jeff Stoynoff back with Marcia Foster, Joe Hickey, the voice of Diablo Valley College basketball. We're gonna bestow that on you now. That's it. An entertaining first half. Both teams having their moments. Marcia, Moorpark gets out to the fast lead, double digits in the first quarter. It was the usual suspects. It was a lot of Calhoun and Barbara Rangel. What were they able to do early that gave them that big lead?
Well, they pushed the pace. They came out with great energy. They got the ball inside. They attacked the basket. They hit some early threes. Right, they got some points from Herring right away, which helped take some of the pressure off of Calhoun and Carrasco to do everything to get going. And Moorpark just struggled. They had buckets. They had opportunities to get some easy layups. And when those don't go, then Moorpark fed on that energy. So I think the crowd, they've been on this court before. They were very relaxed when they came out, and that showed to start the game.
Meanwhile, Diablo Valley, after a struggle early, came back big. It was the three-point shot, keying it once again. But what adjustments did you see, Joe, for Diablo Valley in that second quarter that allowed them to cut into that deficit?
Well, it seemed they started doing a much better job on rebounding, actually. It's one of the big surprises for me in this game is that they have the lead in that category, which is very unusual for them. The turnover battle's been pretty staid, pretty even on both sides. And so they just started getting to those loose balls. The drive kick started working a little better, and I think they started trusting themselves a little more. Early on, I saw what looked like either nerves or fatigue, and based on the size of the eyeballs I could see up from here, I'm going to go with nerves. Every shot seemed to be just a little bit short. Sierra Smith got where she wanted to go and would miss it by 2 feet. Leilani Moncrief couldn't seem to get anything to fall. She's still 1 for 7 at this point. And so they got a little bit of fresh juice in from Jasmine Kong. She hit a few. Janae Anderson remembered that she's the best shooter in America, and we went from there.
You talk about the drive and kick, and that certainly seemed to be critical. And, Marcia, I think Kenny Plummer has some work to do in the locker room. How do you expect them to adjust? Because Abdel Kader getting into the middle was freeing up very good looks in that second quarter, and Diablo Valley took full advantage.
Well, if they're going to stay in a zone, and I know Kenny and his coaching staff have thought about this and have it figured out, they've got to stop allowing penetration from the top because it is drawing everyone in. I don't necessarily understand why, because Rangel is in the middle and she's a force to contend with to get a shot over. But they're making that extra pass too. Diablo Valley, it's not just one pass from the penetrations, it's the second pass that's really hurting them. And a lot of times that's Rangel that's supposed to get out there. So I'm sure he'll make some adjustments, whether they go player and go man-to-man, or they stay in a zone and maybe just change the configuration so they don't get that penetration from the top.
Joe, the Vikings continue to try and flip the script here. You've watched them pretty much all season long. How about one player to watch in the second half? Who's going to be the key for them if they're able to get all the way back here and win the championship?
I think we're at the point in this tournament where it's got to be Zaria Hendricks. She's the NorCal Player of the Year, and we've been waiting for the breakout game from her. She's done things under the radar the whole time, but I think it's time for her to earn those plaudits and carry us to a title. She's gotten a pretty good start, and we are moments away from the start of the third quarter. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for sitting in, and we will be right back with the start of the third quarter.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, from the VC Sportsplex. Half number 2 just underway. Moorpark beginning in control, 34-30. Jazzy Carrasco at the moment working on Sierra Smith. Dumping down low to Barbara Rangel. Held away from the basket nicely by Moncrief. Kicks out to Carrasco in the right corner, and she hits a 3-ball. Just like that, Moorpark stretched their lead back to 7, 37-30. For the Vikings, it is Abdelkader, Smith, Hendricks, Moncrief, and Anderson. Anderson fed on the right side, fires for 3. That rattles around, nearly recovered. Moncrief gets the board, has to slap it over to Abdelkader under pressure. Finds Anderson open again. Janae hits her 159th. That is tied with Rebecca May for the highest total for any women's college shooter in 25 years. Only Martina Underwood and Stacey Williams have ever had more in a season. One more, and she'd be the first since then to break 160, and that third place spot, place on the medal podium, would be all hers. That's fun in the historical context. In the right now, that makes it 37-33. An answer immediately from the Vikings. Calhoun working on Abdelkader. She trips over Rangel. Calhoun fires over Dacia's prone body. Hits the jumper, and it's 39-33. Ahead again for Anderson. Back to Sierra Smith. Over to the right side, finds Abdelkader looking for her first field goal. Up off glass. Moncrief's another board. Turns around on Sullivan and can't get it to fall. Gets her own board tied up, and that's going to stay right here for DVC. Possession arrow flipped at the beginning of the third quarter. 6-point Moorpark advantage. 1:26 gone in quarter number 3. Carrasco and Calhoun over at the white end. Anderson here at the black end. Sierra Smith receives. Abdelkader, nobody comes out to close her. She fires up the 3, can't get it to fall. Dacia 0 for 9 so far in the first 22 minutes of tonight's encounter. She's done all sorts of other great things for DVC, don't get me wrong, but the shots aren't falling for her right now, so she might just have to dial up facilitator Dacia for the rest of this. Rangel back out to Sullivan, finds Carrasco, tried to dribble through a screen, now feeding a teammate down low, and Emily Herring scoring again. And Herring, I think, has been the unforeseen source of buckets for this team. Certainly looking at yesterday, it was almost entirely Calhoun and Rangel. Here's a turnover, the ball coming the other way. Calhoun manages a fast break, but charges! Sierra Smith gets herself into position, and that's a big one too, because if... First off, it keeps them from completing that fast break, which Emily Herring did. Secondly, that would have been 3 on Sierra. Actually, it would have been 4 on Sierra. Instead, it's the second foul against the 22, Brianna Calhoun. Moorpark have done well not to get in any sort of foul trouble. Moncrief still just on 2. Here's Anderson fed by Abdelkader in the right corner. They'll work it back around. Anderson trying to move around some screens. Now kick cross court to Moncrief over in the corner. She tries to take Sullivan on the dribble. Skyhook. Back iron. Comes right back to Leilani. Fresh 30 for the Vikings. No hurry. Zaria. Straight on Dacia Abdelkader, top of the key. Now drives. Works to the left around Rangel. Closed off there. Finds a cutting Sierra Smith, but it hits her foot. Luckily goes to Moncrief, but she throws it straight to Calhoun, who again, thankfully for DVC, loses it out of bounds, and it stays right here. Fresh 30 for the Vikings. 7:11 to go. 41-33 Moorpark. So we talked in the halftime show over on SoCal College Sports about really where things turned around, and it was the fresh energy from Jasmine Kong, some great shots she hit in the second quarter. That seemed to wake up Janae Anderson. She's now got 3 threes. That's... if I'm remembering correctly, I think the most she's had in a postseason game. She might have had 4 against Mission. best she's looked in ages. She's fed in the right corner, fakes the three, doesn't go for it this time. Sierra Smith taking Calhoun on the dribble. Now drives and kicks to Daisha Abdelkader. Cross quarter to Zaria Hendricks. 3 ball from Zebo! 5-point game. Hendricks, the first Viking in double figures with 12. Kong and Anderson both on 9. There's a toss all the way down in the left corner for Sullivan. She lets rip. No good back iron. That's going to come all the way out to the 21 Carrasco. Touched away by Smith. We'll see what they give here. Diving to try to save it is Emily Herring. She goes into the DVC training staff. I'm not sure she needed to. I think that might have still been Moorpark ball, but now it is decisively DVC ball. So the goals that Coach Vaughn always sets for this team at the beginning of a game are 80 field goal attempts, 25 attempts from 3, and 25 free throws. They're definitely not getting to the line the way they'd like. They're almost on pace for field goals. They've taken 40 so far. Definitely on pace for threes. They've already attempted 20. They've made 10. Finally, the three-point shooting coming back. They came into tonight shooting just 25% from three-point range in the postseason. Abdelkader trapped underneath the hoop. Back out to Smith. 12 seconds to shoot. Kick out Anderson. Got it! Janae, 160! Third place all by herself. She's got 4 tonight. And the Vikings are within 2. Back to their closest approach since they led 5-2 early on. Here's Brianna Calhoun trying to dribble through. Lifts this one up. And a beautiful running floater from halfway into the paint. Zaria Hendricks and Sierra Smith, I think, both upset. It would appear about maybe some warding off. We'll see what we see on the replay. But right now it's a 4-point Moorpark lead, 5:52 to go. Let's see what we get here. That's a replay of the ball inside to Emily Herring. That's not what we were looking for. We'll just have to wait. At any rate, those are the goals that Coach Vaughn sets every game. They're a little behind the goal for field goals, and they have just not gotten to the line. But again, given the rate at which they have shot at the line recently, maybe that's all for the best. They've had a very hard time just shooting 58% on free throws, 72% so far on the postseason for Moorpark, which is actually down from their number in the regular season, which is 73, third best in the state of California. But the usual idea for the Vikings is to make up for their rebounding shortcomings by forcing turnovers. Here's the funny thing. You want to talk about an uncharacteristic game. Turnover battle's 9-9 right now. That seemed to be DVC's biggest advantage. On rebounding, they're usually lucky to break even. Moorpark normally up by 4 or 5 on average this season. DVC are up 24-18 on rebounds. They've got 11 offensive boards off 26 misses. They're rebounding like Delta did last night, which is to say, in a way that we've never seen from them. It's always a different way, always a different player. 43-39, Janae Anderson popping for 3 again! Janae, the best shooter in America, strikes again! It's a 1-point game, 43-42. Long ball ahead. Sullivan with it in the right corner. Back to Calhoun, the SoCal Player of the Year. Abdelkader falls to the ground, ball rattling about. Recovered by Rangel. She finds Carrasco for 3. She pulls that one short. Rebounded by Herring. Back out to Calhoun with a fresh 30. Halfway gone in quarter number 3. Calhoun drives, reach in, foul. That's going to be number 4 on Sierra. That's the sort of thing that could condition things, although if that does mean Jasmine Kong coming in place of Sierra Smith. No, never mind. That's on Abdelkader. Okay. At least on the initial look from over here, I assumed she had to have been the one that reached. Instead, that is the first personal on Daisha. 1-1 team fouls here through 4 minutes, 57 seconds. Brianna Calhoun hits the first free throw. Calhoun, a 70% shooter from the line. Certainly not her top skill. She's 40% from behind the arc, 55% from the field overall. She makes that one. 44-42. Make it 45-42. 3-point game. A quarter and a half left to play. Daisha Abdelkader receives the ball at the left corner. Dribbling. Tries a quick little spin one way, then the other. Zaria Hendricks trying to come to it. Emily Herring doing well to stick to her. Daisha does finally feed Zebo. Here comes Zaria. Now draws 2 defenders. Kicks out to Abdelkader for 3! We're tied up at 45! 4:40 to go. What a battle we've got on our hands here. The Vikings just lethal from three-point land. 13 for 23. The shooting is contagious. Abdelkader's got her first points of the encounter. And we're tied up Ball driven inside to Rangel. Moorpark trying to get back to their strength. They don't get it. She's not able to lay it in. Rebound taken by Hendricks. Pushed quickly ahead by Sierra Smith. Advocator's going to chase it down just before it goes over the baseline. Herring and Calhoun trying to trap her in the corner. She gets away on the dribble. Calhoun commits the foul. I think that's 3 on her. Indeed. 3rd foul on Calhoun, who leads all scorers right now with 18 points. Janae Anderson leading for the Vikings. I was asked who was the one player to watch for DVC. I said Hendricks. Apparently I said wrong. Inbound to Advocator. Drives, kicks to Moncrief, takes Rangel off the dribble, but lays it off the bottom of the backboard. DVC lose the opportunity to take their first lead since early in the first quarter. There's an opportunity for Carrasco to feed a ball down low, kicked by Sierra Smith. That'll stop things and I think reset the shot clock. Perhaps not. Maybe it's the reset to 14 when that happens under 14. 26 seconds left to shoot. 3:56 in the quarter, 45-45. It's been the story all weekend here. Big leads, doesn't matter how big, they're never safe. First game I saw here is the only one where I've seen a team not fight back. Rangel shooting, drags down Zaria Hendricks underneath, grabbed a hold of her arm. Rangel's holding her knee and says she's hurt. And I think she may have just said, I felt a pop. I'm trying to read her lips right here. She's working against Zebo, and it might be that she hurt her knee, and that's why she ended up dragging down Zaria. But she's holding her left knee, which already has a brace on it. Foul given against her. It is her second, and she's going to have to perhaps come off the floor. She's holding her arms above her head. I'm going to see that again underneath. She was fed. Zaria did well to battle with her, and I think I think she came down odd on her leg, and it buckled, and as a result, all of her weight came down on Zebo's shoulder. Luckily, Zaria seems to be okay, although she's also holding her arms in an interesting position right now. 3:47 left in the third quarter. We remain tied. Ball in possession at DVC. Moorpark with 3 team fouls in the quarter. DVC just 1. Vikings 2 more team fouls away from ending up in the bonus. Advocator, Sierra Smith, Jasmine Kong peeling off of a screen. Won't be fed just yet. Advocator, 2 defenders come to her. Back out to Smith. Back out to Advocator, draws the defense. She shoots, very short. Jasmine Kong read it and lays it in after getting the rebound. Beautiful work by Jasmine. DVC on top for the first time since the opening 2 minutes. Meanwhile, we've got a foul. Daisha Advocator with a push. She does not look impressed. Vikings coaches say, forget it. You've only got 2. We're all right. 3:16 to go. DVC lead by 2. Much like last night, Moorpark may have been lulled into thinking that they had this thing won in the first quarter. Happened to the Vikings too. You'd think they would have learned from the Merced game. Or perhaps we're just seeing the fatigue right here, and that DVC, when they turn the Jets on, Moorpark can't keep up, and vice versa. Calhoun, speaking of Jets, driving around Kong, drops it down low, intercepted Hendricks. But Zaria is judged to have traveled as a result. That'll switch possession, and as a result, the shot clock resets. 2:53 to go, fresh 30 for Moorpark. Janae Anderson with 5 3-pointers today is sitting at 161. For those that are interested, it's not a women's 3-point shooter, but Steph Curry's personal best at Davidson was 162. How about it, Janae? Having a hard time getting in the inbound. They do finally get it, probably on 4 or 4.5 on the count. Oh, good interior pass, and then a kick out by Carrasco. Wasted as Ayala has a hard time settling. Back out to Moore. Carrasco fakes the 3. Jasmine Kong defending and fouling. The shot does not fall, but Carrasco will go to the line and shoot 3. That's definitely not somebody you want to put at the line. She is an 87% free throw shooter this season. Doesn't show up on the leaderboards because she doesn't take enough of them. Where she does show up is from three-point land, and we've certainly seen that so far. She's 3 for 5 from there. Has the 4th best three-point percentage in the state at 41.2%. Also 8th in assist-to-turnover ratio. She hits the first. Makes it a 1-point game. 2:43 to go. 47-45. These two teams with a combined record as she hits the second. A combined record of 63-2 on the season. Each team has lost once. In fact, I found out from some discussions that Moorpark only lost on a buzzer beater against East LA College. And so they were one miracle shot in the last second of one game from being perfect 33-0 coming into this. Here goes Sierra Smith on the drive, coast to coast, unable to lay it in. She takes contact from Ayala, and she's headed to the line. DVC will throw their best free throw shooter up there after Moorpark hit 3 of 3. They lead by a point. Sierra, certainly the biggest victim, it appeared early on, of just, as we said, either fatigue or nerves. Everything was short for the opening few minutes after those initial hits. She got her first one, had to have been feeling it right then. She gets the first free throw. She missed the 2 that she took earlier on. She's actually taken all 3 of DVC's free throw attempts. Their usual aggression and driving has not yielded the trips to the line that we're accustomed to, and as we said, that is very, very different from what we've observed in the men's final. The men's final, both teams were in the double bonus with 7 minutes left. In case you're wondering why we got on the air so late, if I remember correctly, a combined 6 players between City College and Fullerton fouled out of that game. And so it took us a little while to get on the air. That game itself took 2 hours, 12 minutes. Then there was a presentation of the trophy. There was cutting down of the nets. There was a presentation of a check for the Coaches versus Cancer fundraiser. All of that. And then we finally managed to get up here. In the meanwhile here, Sierra Smith has hit that pair of free throws. She's now 2 for 4 from the line, 2 for 6 from the field, has 6 points so far tonight. The Vikings lead again by a point with 2:37 to go. We'll recap it briefly here. Zaria 12-7. She hasn't had one of those breakout games where she just does everything on, or where she blows up in terms of scoring for the Vikings. She is topped out at 20 against Mission. But she has had double-doubles in every game and a triple-double in that first one against Mission. There's the ball inside, almost picked off by Sierra Smith on the inbound. Carrasco is going to pull it out. DVC send 2 people to her. They do finally get across the line. Calhoun finds a streaking Sullivan who can't nail the the layup. Ayala rips it away from Zaria Hendricks, who looked to have the rebound settled. Carrasco fed for 3, no good. Hendricks tipping it around underneath, and Sierra Smith will secure the rebound. 2 on the game for her to go along with 2 assists, and unfortunately 4 fouls. Janae Anderson, open 3, back iron. Her streak ends. She's now 5 for 8 from three-point land. But we will take that all day. Ball dropped back to Emily Herring amidst a bunch of traffic. She misses back iron, and we're just running back and forth. DVC up a point inside 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Jasmine Kong, long ball, gets to Advocator despite a touch from Calhoun. Advocator drives, down low for Hendricks. She's almost out of bounds. Gets it again, nearly deflected by Calhoun. Kong drives after receiving it, no good. Comes back to Zaria Hendricks. Works around, Advocator for 3, off target. Wide left, back iron. Still 49-48, 90 seconds left in the quarter. Brianna Calhoun and her 18 points trying to drive on Advocator. Deisha with the quick hands, and the ball comes free to Sierra Smith. She's driving with 4 defenders around her, gets inside of Sullivan, earns contact, and will go back to the line. 49-48, and DVC a chance to extend it. So we've mentioned Janae now, 5 for 8 from 3. She leads all DVC scorers with 15, just 3 behind Brianna Calhoun at the moment. She and Calhoun are the top 2 3-point makers in the state. 160 for her, Calhoun 128 now with the 1 of 4 she's had tonight. Sierra hits the first. She's got her mojo back. I mean, heck, if you miss 2 right off the bat, the rate she shoots, she should make the next 8. Please make this one. Please make this one. Yes, good. No commentator's curse. 51-48 DVC. 78 seconds left in the quarter. The Vikings now shooting 3 for 5 from the line. 4 for 6 rather. All of that Sierra Smith. They are shooting 13 of 26 from 3, 17 of 49 from the field. They have risen up, erased a huge deficit, and gotten back on top. Rangel, 2 attempts after getting her own rebound. Neither one of them falls. She is not having the kind of game I think she envisioned when this one started. Advocator dribbles through 3 adversaries, lays it up off glass. Deisha! 5 points on the night for her. And the Vikings' emotional leader gives them a little burst of emotion. And the Vikings have their biggest lead of the night, 53-48 with 51 seconds to go. Still even on the turnover battle, still pretty even on rebounding. The difference now is the Vikings have lit up from 3 to make up for their deficits in shot making in general. 13 threes compared to 4 for Moorpark. Currently the difference in this game. Ayala working on Kong, gets off her shoulder on the right side, lays it off glass, and hits that. Pulls it back to a three-point game, and you hear the response from the rather partisan crowd here. Moorpark just 45 minutes away from Ventura College. Work quickly around the perimeter. Daisha thought about the three, now drives, kicks back out to Kong, brings that down, puts it on the floor, shoots from the free throw line and drains it. Jazzy playing the game of her life. She was huge early in the season in tournaments. Had struggled throughout the postseason, but now with 8 seconds left in the third, she's given a huge contribution off the bench. Here comes the ward-off. I saw offensive foul committed by Jazzy Carrasco. That's going to be her second. She's got 12 points tonight, but she drove in on the left side, stuck out the chicken wing, and fouled a DVC player. 4.3 seconds left. Abdelkader will roll it on the ground. Sierra Smith picks it up from inside the V at center court. Here comes Sierra. Sierra pops from three-point land, off target. Would have brought the house down for the DVC faithful. But ladies and gentlemen, it is 55-50 to the Vikings. They have risen back from trailing by as many as 15 in the first quarter. They trimmed it to 4 by the break, and they win the third quarter by 9 points. Now, I did promise you way back in the first quarter, when things felt desperate and this felt like a pipe dream to even talk about, I mentioned to you the fact that this is one of the first times in a long while that a DVC team has contested a state final. You heard in the earlier podcast, the earlier live streams rather, that women's soccer was the last team to qualify for one. I'm going to check really quickly here on Twitter and see if we have anybody trying to answer this, either at Joe Paul Hick Twitter account. Nope, nothing there. And I'm going to check the Mixlr live chat. Nope, I don't see it there. So here you go. The last DVC team to win a state title. It was 5 years ago, and it was women's swimming. That team just ran riot throughout the state tournament, won it by a bunch, very nearly defended the title in 2015. But that's it. 5 years ago, the last time that a DVC team was crowned champions of California. Vikings women's basketball are 10 minutes, potentially, from adding their name to that illustrious list. We heard way back at the beginning of all these broadcasts that this is not a team that Coach Vaughn ever expected to do this. He has said repeatedly they are not the most talented team he's encountered, but they play harder than any team he's ever had. The chemistry is through the roof. The women love each other. And on top of everything else, there's the knowledge right now that they are basically playing their last 10 minutes together unless this game goes to overtime. Everybody besides Lauren Clark, Kaylin Lockram, Sierra Smith, and Jasmine Kong will be gone after today. They are looking to exit as champions. We are back underway, 15 seconds into quarter number 4. Herring, trying to drive on Anderson. Kick back to Carrasco. She puts it on the floor, looks to drive now on Anderson. It looks like Janae has picked up a foul. It's okay, we haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of that from her, if I remember correctly. That is just her first personal foul. And it's not a shooting foul, so the ball will just stay right here with Moorpark with a fresh 30. 9:32 to go. The ball in the hands of the SoCal Player of the Year. She kicks out to Carrasco, short on the open three. Daisha Abdelkader pulls down the board. Daisha working the glass in the absence of anything else. She's got 6 boards, 7 assists to go with 5 points. She started ice cold from the field, missed her first 9 shots, but she's 2 for 3 since then. Daisha nearly loses the ball, finds Anderson left corner, 3! Janae Anderson again! Why, oh why did it not occur to me to say that name? She's got 18, she and Calhoun, the 2 leading scorers right now. What a story, Vikings lead by 8. The 3 ball, the difference. Vikings have somehow managed not to die by it over the course of the last few rounds as Sullivan earns a trip to the free throw line, driving in from the right side. They've somehow managed to avoid dying by the 3, as the saying would go. After living by it for so long, they've had other things to live on. They've had their defense, they've had their turnovers, they've had their muscle, they've had their tenacity. That is 3 fouls on Moncrief in the meanwhile there, as Sullivan misses the first of the 2 free throws. But tonight, a 15 for 28 explosion from three-point land. And And the bulk of that coming from Janae Anderson. She's got 6 tonight. The kind of game we've been waiting for all tournament from her as she nursed this knee injury. Somehow, even with that, with it swelling every night, she is the healthiest and the biggest factor right now. She gets it from Abdelkader. Hits again! Janae! It's a 10-point Vikings lead! 8:30 to go! She's 7 for 10. Carrasco driving, 61-51 DVC. I'm sorry, none of that was professional, but this is amazing. Driving Calhoun gets around the Janae Anderson slap. Here comes a 3 from the corner by Ayala, no good. On the rebound, we got a foul on the floor, and it's going to go against Moorpark. In fact, if that's on Calhoun, that's a big one because it's number 4 on her. Ooh. First team foul against Moorpark. DVC have committed 2. 4th team foul against Brianna Calhoun. And that's going to bring out the timeout. We'll go ahead and recap it. Janae Anderson, 7 for 10 from three-point land. Coach Vaughn called her the best shooter in America. With the 7 right there, she's now topped anything Steph Curry ever did in a season at Davidson by 1. I mean, if this game goes on long enough, maybe she can take aim at Martina Underwood. She would need another 9. I don't think that's happening, but what we're seeing is just spectacular. She's got 21. Zaria's got 12. She was my pick to come out here and exert her will. She's done everything else you can ask. She's got 8 boards, 2 assists, 12 hard-won points, 4 for 6 from three-point land. Hasn't made either of her attempts to drive to the basket. Sierra Smith has come to life at the free throw line. She's gotten 4 points there after struggling in the second half. She hit her first shot and then missed 5 in a row. Jasmine Kong gave DVC that boost in the second quarter, and it's worth saying she may well have been the turning point. That was what got the Vikings believing. It's what woke them up. Deja Abdelkader, 2 for 12 from the field, 1 for 9 from 3, but it hardly matters with 6 boards and 9 assists. Her penetration, her ability to draw the defense, double teams coming to her every time. You hear the DVC faithful. Soak that up, Vikings fans. 8:04 to go, a 10-point Viking lead. They trailed by 15 in the first quarter. 8 minutes exactly. I will continue to count it down. Sierra Smith driving, kicking to Janae. Why not? Anderson off target to the right. Moncrief the rebound, struggling to settle it. Now she's got it. Back out to Zaria. Daisha. Janae says calm. Janae fed again at the top of the key. This time Ayala sticks well to her. Finds Sierra Smith looking to drive. Dumps down low for Moncrief. Gets around the defender. Up and in! And it certainly can't be overstated. Barbara Rangel has not played since that injury she picked up midway through the third quarter on the collision with Zaria Hendricks, and I think that as well has been a turning point. The Vikings opening up the lead at that point. It was a tie game, if I remember correctly, at that spot. Vikings up 12, 7:14 to go. Brianna Calhoun, runner from the baseline, off back iron, no good. Punched out and settled by Abdelkader. No, she hits it off her foot. Comes right back to Moorpark. DVC scattered. They're going to take a deep 3 from Carrasco, and she feathers that in as Sierra Smith raced to try to cut it off. That was from a good 4 or 5 feet behind the arc. Sierra Smith in transition. Back to Janae. Back up top for Sierra. Back to Zaria. Clock is your friend. Vikings up 9, 6:44 to go. Zaria, cross quarter to Daisha. Almost too tall for her. She is only 5'4". Abdelkader. Back to Zaria. Total team effort from the 6 Vikings that have taken the floor tonight. Hendricks, Euro step, has it knocked out of her hand by Sullivan and can't finish. Herring comes away with the ball. Here she comes up the other side of the floor. She'll drop that off for Calhoun. Kick to the right side. Sullivan, three-pointer from the right corner, no good. Ayala tips that out. That's going to go DVC's way. 6:18 to go. Every empty possession feels good, but every Moorpark shot from 3 feels like potentially the beginning of the end. Vikings made a few right around this time of the second quarter, and that's what really brought them back to life. Sierra Smith catching her breath here as the Vikings have played 114 minutes worth of basketball over the last 48 hours. Do they have another 6:15 in them to protect a 9-point lead and win a title no one would have expected at the start of this year. Coach Vaughn said, I just hope that we can stay over 500. We're tiny. We're thin. Here's Zaria Hendricks, runner up with the right hand, scoop shot, no good. Touched every part of the rim. Emily Herring comes away with the board. Calhoun kicking out right side. Carrasco in and out of her hands for three, no good, too long. Carrasco chases down the board, tries to lay that off glass, no good. Moncrief can't corral the board. Comes back out to the number 10 Herring. Sullivan back to Calhoun. 5:38 to go. 9 points, the Vikings lead. Abdelkader on her. Calhoun, 7 of 13 shooting, 18 points, but she's been stuck on that total for quite some time. Abdelkader commits a foul. I think that's going to be 4 on Daisha. Nope, 3. So for the Vikings, nobody's sitting on a fourth. Brianna Calhoun does have her 4th foul. And my word, if the Vikings can find a way to drive at her and send her back to the bench with Rangel down there due to injury, it could be party time in Ventura for DVC's faithful. 5:20 to go, 21 to shoot. Calhoun dribbling on Abdelkader. Abdelkader runs into the pick. Calhoun spins around Janae Anderson. She was headed to ground before the call came, but they give the foul against Janae. 2 personals on Anderson. The look on her face. I'd love to know what Ramondo Vaughn just said to her. That will send Calhoun to the line, though, as she apparently threw that ball up enough for them to call it a shot. I was looking for a replay on that. The DVC fans saying that was definitely on the floor. I'm looking forward to seeing a replay of it. Calhoun misses the first one. And as Rashid would say, ball don't lie. Calhoun 3 for 5 at the line today. He said, stuck on 18 points for quite some time. The SoCal Player of the Year. So effervescent in the first quarter. Looked like she was going to just pave over the Vikings. She misses them both, but Mia Moore comes down with the rebound. Drops back with a foot on the line. The shot comes from the number 10, Emily Herring. And no, they've given that as a 2. Yes, 63-56. Vikings up 7. I guess my prescription lenses are doing their job. I saw the toenail on the line, and that is exactly what the case was. Sierra Smith on the dribble. Looking to take on Calhoun. Drives at her. Lays up off glass. No good. Moncrief the board. Looks for the putback. No good. Ball comes out to Zaria Hendricks. Trying for a tie-up. They don't get it. Daisha Abdelkader. Back to Janae. 2 defenders collapse to her. Good idea based on what we've seen. Back to Daisha. Daisha. Hesitation dribble and a timeout taken by DVC. Coach Vaughn wants to settle things down. 4:31 left. Vikings up 7. Calhoun still on 18 points. Anderson leads all scorers with 21. Tong with 13, 9 of them in the second quarter in a flurry that got DVC back into this game. It's been all Janae Anderson here in the 3rd and 4th. Leilani Moncrief just 2 for 12. But don't forget, she has carried DVC to this point. Been shooting nearly 50% so far on the postseason. I go searching for my postseason statistics. There they are. Too much paper in front of me right now. She's been good for 15 points per game and 11 rebounds, 3 blocks, shooting almost 50% from the field. Zaria Hendricks tonight with 12 points. She hasn't scored much in the second half, but hasn't had to. She's going to work on the glass. She's got 9 boards to go with those 12 points. She's been averaging a 15 and 13. DVC with another 4.5 minutes to defend a 7-point lead. Zaria Hendricks on the ball. Daisha Abdelkader. My mistake. Clock running. Into the corner for Sierra. Touched away from Zaria, but she's able to get it back. Back to Sierra. Dump down low for Moncrief. Blocked from behind by Mia Moore. Sierra Smith gets it back, but it's a shot clock violation. So loud in here, nobody heard the horn. 4:10 to go, but a nerve-wracking empty possession for DVC as Mia Moore comes up with a big block on Leilani Moncrief. We'll do the reset real quick. 2 timeouts per side. Moorpark just 1 personal foul here, 1 team foul rather, in the 4th quarter. Vikings have committed 4. So the next one will put Moorpark into the bonus. Possession arrow belongs to the Vikings. The clock is not starting. Why is the clock not starting? It's 4:10. There was 4 seconds that passed before they started it. Brianna Calhoun shooting from the right side. No good. Jasmine Kong brings down the board. Trapped in the backcourt. Daisha Abdelkader throws it ahead to Sierra Smith. She gets across the timeline. Now brings it back. 3 minutes, 55 seconds to go. Suspicion of a little bit of home cooking there, as the scoreboard clock stayed on 4:10 for about 3 or 4 dribbles. Zaria Hendricks at the top of the key, drives, kicks, Janae Anderson, corner on the left, partially blocked by Moore. That's 2 she's had in the late going. Another empty trip for DVC, but the clock continues to run. 3:33 to go. They're struggling to get across half court, nearly intercepted by Sierra Smith. Ball brought down by Emily Herring. Nobody covering anyone. Here comes Jazzy Carrasco. She tries to drive it home, or wrap it around Zaria Hendricks, rather. It's Need out of bounds by Zaria, so that'll keep the ball right here. 18 to shoot, 3:24 to go. Vikings up 7. We've hardly seen any scoring over the last couple of minutes. A lot of nerve-wracking, exhausted, empty trips. Brianna Calhoun taking Advocator on the dribble. She tries to work around the Moore pick. Calhoun gets space, lays it off glass, and it rims out somehow. She's having the kind of luck right now that DVC had throughout the first quarter. Maybe something's up with that rim. 3 minutes to go, 3:05. Let's not get ahead of myself. Sierra Smith, now 3 minutes to go. Sierra on the ball. Dribbling around Janae Anderson. Now driving, up off glass, no good. Another empty trip. 2:50 to go. Carrasco, just inside the arc, kicks to Mia Moore for 3. That one hits the side of the backboard. Zaria Hendricks, the long rebound. And 2 exhausted teams. DVC trying to get something to ice it. Moorpark trying to find something to close a 7-point gap. For the last 2 minutes, they've just neutralized each other and held it right here at 63-56. Abdelkader taking on Calhoun, tries to get her on the dribble. Goes around to the left, kicks out to Kong. Back out to Sierra Smith, 5 to shoot. Smith driving down the right side, off glass, off target. Hits back iron, Sierra Smith, boo, punched it away from Herring for a moment. Couldn't quite settle. Moorpark going down the court. Kick out, Calhoun, open three-pointer, and she hits it. 2 minutes left, a timeout taken by DVC. Their second to last one. And it's a 4-point game. Calhoun finally getting off 18 points. You expect it of her. Zaria's been doing it a different way than NorCal Player of the Year. The SoCal Player of the Year, Brianna Calhoun, it's been all about scoring. This is about her average in terms of points here in the postseason. 21, she's averaged 22.6, averaged just under 20 for the season. So she hasn't been disappointing, but she hasn't done anything like what we saw against Merced. She took over with 33 points against Merced. Rangel gave them 27. Moorpark forced to deal without their 6'2" dose of size down low, Barbara Rangel. Her career ends with an apparent knee injury in a collision with Zaria Hendricks. We see her on the video screen right now. Coach is trying to cheer her up. You know it's got to break her heart not to be out there for her teammates. We got 120 seconds left, folks, at the end of 120 minutes of tournament basketball. DVC navigating the opening rounds, beating Mission by 42, Sac City by 4. They came down here, outlasted Ventura in a hostile environment on their own home floor. Outlasted them by 2 points in somewhat controversial settings. Look out here, turnover as the inbound is punched away from Sierra Smith, put out to Calhoun. It was Herring that got the turnover. Moorpark, a chance to make it a one-possession game. She drives on Smith. Smith rips it right out of her hands. Trapped against the baseline, now manages to dribble free of it. Fouled by Emily Herring, and that will not send her to the line. That is only the second foul for Moorpark. Nowhere near the bonus. Leilani Moncrief waiting to check in. My goodness, what a play by Sierra Smith. Ripped that ball right out of Calhoun's hands as she went to cut DVC's advantage down to 2. It remains a 2-possession game, 1:43 to go. Vikings with 2 timeouts left, Moorpark with 1. Vikings would put Moorpark into the bonus with their next team foul. Moorpark have 3 fouls to give. Abdelkader struggling again to get the ball in play. Herring picks it off again. And now this pass, very dangerous. Advocator almost got it, also almost committed her third or fourth foul. Three-pointer by Carrasco hits nothing. Rebound from Moncrief. Ahead to Advocator. DVC need to make sure they get across the timeline. Advocator taking her time. There's only 4 seconds. Come on, Daisha. Get there. Get there. Gets across with 1 second to spare. Now goes right for the line. And Calhoun's going to punch it away. Recovered another turnover. DVC uncharacteristic. Calhoun for 3, no good. Hendricks the board. 70 seconds to go. Here comes Zaria, trapped against the sideline. DVC take a timeout. They've got 1 left. And we're all going to try to breathe. Said it before. The story right now, the rebounding battle has shockingly, for one of the first times all season, against a top-tier team belong to DVC, 41-35. The turnover battle is not. It's 14-13. This is not Moorpark's specialty, but they've stayed right with the Vikings. Now, admittedly, the Vikings, actually really what it's boiled down to is that Moorpark has played tidy. It's again been sort of that immovable object, irresistible force sort of situation. It's not that DVC have turned the ball over a ton, aside from the fact that they have in the last few minutes. But what we've seen here is DVC being mostly tidy, except down the stretch here, and I think that's why Coach Vaughn wants the timeout. Moorpark resisting DVC's busy hands, except for in big moments. The Vikings have managed, however, 15 points off the turnovers that they have forced. Oh, you know what? I'm reading that wrong. DVC are losing out in points on turnovers, 15-14 to Moorpark. They're losing out on turnovers, 14-13. It's been pretty much a wash in that. So again, the difference in the game, a little better rebounding and 3-point bombing. Now with a few turnovers and a couple of late threes, Moorpark has tried to get back into it, but I think everybody here is just exhausted. The question is, do DVC have enough in the tank to defend the lead for 67 seconds? And do Moorpark have enough to continue to close this gap? This time they get the inbound in, 23 to shoot. We are down at this moment at 1 minute. Zaria Hendricks fakes the drive on Herring. Goes around the Moncrief's pick, now tries to dump it down low, and Herring forces another turnover. Got her hands up, Hendricks commits the foul on Calhoun, and with 53 seconds left, that's going to send her to the line. Moorpark into the bonus on the 5th team foul by DVC, second against Zaria Hendricks. And this is going to come right down to the wire. Poor SoCal College Sports folks trying to get together 2 different sets of graphics right now, because tonight's result is still in doubt. Calhoun hits the first free throw. She regains her position as the game's leading scorer with 22, but she's only hit 4 of 7 from the line. It's a 1-possession game. She gets the second. 63-61 with 53 seconds left. Both teams have 1 timeout remaining. Here comes the trap again for Moorpark. Sierra Smith gets away from it. Dribbles into the front court. Almost lost that dribble between 2 defenders. Here's Daisha. 41 seconds left, 18 to shoot. DVC trying to drain this clock down as far as they can. Daisha takes Ayala on the dribble. Spins. Back to Janae. Fakes the 3. Doesn't take it. Still 9 seconds to shoot. Back out to Sierra, nice and calm. Now driving on Calhoun. Down low. Moncrief off glass. No good. Sierra the board. Up and in! Sierra Smith! Vikings back up 4. It's a 2-possession game with 22 seconds left. Here comes Moorpark. Carrasco working on Smith. Carrasco dribbling to the side. Finds the cutting Ayala. She dribbles it out for foot. It's out of bounds. It's DVC ball. 14 seconds left, and here's where Moorpark's discipline all fourth quarter could come back to bite them. It's the Sacramento City situation all over again. I'll remind you, in the Sweet 16, Sac City played the Vikings unbelievably tough as Moorpark take their final timeout. It was 54-40 after a couple of clutch buckets for Zaria Hendricks and Janae Anderson. The problem was, with 14 seconds left, Sac City had only committed 2 fouls. And so they had to wrap DVC on the arms 3 times in order to just get them to the line and give themselves a chance at the 2 possessions they needed. Moorpark find themselves in exactly the same situation. They are going to have to go for turnovers because it may just take too long to get the fouls they need. Again, if you're looking for who the Vikings would like to have the ball, get the ball into the hands of, to send to the line, it's Janae Anderson and Sierra Smith. We've also seen Leilani Moncrief, though, just be absolutely ice cold in late game situations. Throughout the game, she's not a fantastic free throw shooter. but she has been great when it's been important. Jasmine Kong, same deal. She has improved by leaps and bounds. She was shooting 45% from the line at one point this year. She's now up to 62 and has hit some clutch buckets down the stretch. Vikings come out 13.7 seconds from a title. 4 points they lead. Ready to inbound. It is the starting five on the floor for probably the last time. Soak it in. Abdelkader, Moncrief, Hendricks, and Anderson, along with Amani McCrary. Their DVC career potentially about to end in triumph in 13.7 seconds of game time. Janae Anderson looking to get it in. Gets it to Abdelkader. She'll hold it over in the corner. Fouled by Ayala. There's one. And they're up to 3. That spent 2 seconds. Now 11.6. And again, I'm going to keep a little bit of an eye on the clock because we've already seen a situation where the scoreboard operator went to sleep for a few seconds. And if it was important back then, it's certainly important now. I mean, this could be 8 seconds instead of 12. 11.6. Hendricks from the baseline. Inbounds to Abdelkader. She defends it. They foul her again. 10.6. There's the 4th foul. They'll need to do one more to send somebody to the line. Abdelkader will work. Kong not on the floor, so she's not an option. It'll be Abdelkader to inbound this time. The one you don't want to have it get into the hands of is Zaria Hendricks if you can avoid it. She gets it to Sierra Smith. She's going to run around for a little while. Nobody's fouling. 7.3 seconds left. She's just got to make sure she doesn't dribble into the backcourt. Sierra holding it. 3, 2. The clock stops with 1.6 seconds left. What on earth was going on? They just plumb forget to foul. And the celebrations have kicked off. It's a 2-possession game with less than 2 seconds. Oh my God, Vikings fans, it's going to happen. They trailed by 15 in the first. A barrage of 3-point shooting from Janae Anderson. Responsible for turning the tide. Jasmine Kong, a difference maker as well. Sierra Smith hits the first 3 at 66-61. Oh my goodness, get ready to say it, and I'm just going to let you soak it in. Smith misses the second, rebound Moncrief, she puts it back at the buzzer, and the Vikings are champions of California! 68-61, your final score. The Vikings faithful who made the 6-hour trek south along with me and are probably about to make the trip back tonight just like myself. Celebrate an incredible victory for DVC. A team that Coach Vaughn hoped would go 500 has gone 32-1, and they've won the state title here in Ventura, going through the host college, their Big 8 nemesis, and the number 1 ranked team in the state all year. I have hardly anything else to say here besides hallelujah. What an amazing run, Vikings fans. I'm just going to let you soak it in. I recommend, if you haven't done so already, that you get a visual on this. SoCalCollegeSports.com have been doing a brilliant job covering this tournament from start to finish, and they will have the awards presentation down on the floor. We'll find out who the MVP is, but I'm going to leave you right here and head on down to party with our ladies. DVC, California State Champions of Women's Basketball, 68-61 over the Raiders is your final. Good night.